25. 40. Here he goes. Cuts it back, and he is gone. 10-5, touchdown, Devin Hester.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Throwback Thursday on the channel today. I am very, very excited for this episode. As you guys can see, debuting the new background, got the jersey wall behind me. I have some other jerseys in the reserves that I'm going to flip-flop throughout the video, so you guys will see new jerseys here and there. But I don't care about any of that. I want to talk about Devin Hester. Devin Hester is one of my favorite players. He was actually my first ever favorite player when I first started watching football. I love Devin Hester. I am so excited to get into this episode. I am going to preface this right away because I know you guys would say something in the comments if I didn't. This does break the rules of the series a little bit. The series has been focused on guys who have been either forgotten or guys who, were good, but not the greatest at their position and kind of got overshadowed a little bit. Neither of which apply to Devin Hester. I don't think really anybody's forgotten about Devin Hester, and I think for what he did in terms of kick returner, nobody was better, possibly in the entire history of the NFL. So I'm breaking the rules a little bit, and quite frankly, I don't care. It's my channel. Throwback Thursday was basically started so I could have an excuse to talk about Devin Hester because I absolutely love him. And before we get into the video, guys, please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss more videos in the future. I've had some pretty good videos come out, if I do say so myself. So I don't want you guys to miss those, but make sure to subscribe. Make sure to click the notification bell so you don't miss my future uploads. But let's get right into Devin Hester. So Devin Hester was drafted to the Bears 57th overall in the 2006 NFL Draft. He went to Miami, and his position at Miami was defensive back. But the reason he was drafted in the second round, and the reason the Bears took him in the first place, was because of his return ability. He was not seen as really an NFL caliber defensive back, but he was seen as a weapon in the return game, and that's what the Bears banked on. At the time, a lot of people thought they wasted the pick, and to be completely honest, if Devin Hester didn't end up being one of the greatest return men in history, probably would have been a waste of a second-round pick. But the Bears knew what they were doing, which is rare. The Bears knew what they were doing drafting Devin Hester, and he quickly established himself and broke onto the scene as one of the best returners in the NFL. So much so that in his rookie season, he had 600 punt return yards, 3 punt return touchdowns. He had 578 kick return yards and 2 touchdowns. That's not even including the opening of the Super Bowl that Devin Hester took 92 yards back to the house in Miami against the Colts. That really set the tone for the Bears to lose that game. They lost the Super Bowl, unfortunately. But Devin Hester gave it his best shot, obviously, to start the game off with one of the best opening kickoffs in NFL Super Bowl history. Now, at that time, after his dominant rookie season, one of the greatest return seasons of all time, people were wondering if that was just a fluke or if Devin Hester was really one of the game's best returners and was going to prove that for many years to come. And in 2007, he proved that he was here to stay. Because then in 2007, he had 6 more return touchdowns. You cannot overstate the impact that Devin Hester had on special teams. Special teams is, for most people, kind of boring, kind of whatever. I mean, everybody was watching special teams when Devin Hester was on the field. He was a threat to turn the ball into the end zone every single time he touched it. He had elite speed. He had great vision. He had great cuts. And, I mean, if he got in the open field, nobody was catching him. I mean, let's be real here. So Devin Hester made special teams fun. He made that side of the ball that most people, go to the bathroom for, or they're on their phones, none of that. Everybody was in their seat, eyes glued to the TV when it was the kickoff team or the punt team, and Devin Hester was going to be receiving the ball. Now, during his first 2 years in the NFL, Devin Hester very quickly put him on Hall of Fame return man trajectory with his dominant 11 touchdowns in 2 years returning. And I think the Bears, they realized that, hey, this guy is such a weapon with the ball in his hands. This guy is such a speed demon. Why don't we try to convert him to the offensive side of the ball, and why don't we try to get him the ball more in the offense? And the Bears actually switched his position to wide receiver full-time. Like I said, his first couple years in the league, and at Miami he played DB. Now he's going to be playing receiver. And although he never really panned out as a receiver, unfortunately, he was able to get some production for the Bears offense. Like in 2009, he had over 700 yards receiving, which isn't necessarily great numbers by any means, but when you're doing that on offense, adding to the fact that how good you are on special teams and in a return game, I mean, I'd say that's really good, honestly. I would say that's really good. He was never an elite receiver, but you have to remember he wasn't drafted to play receiver. He was drafted as a DB and a return specialist. But I think when the Bears were able to get the ball in his hands, he was obviously a dangerous weapon on offense as well. And then in 2010, he had another really good year. He had 3 punt return touchdowns, He had 4 touchdowns on offense, and the Bears actually had the best team that they had had since 2006. They were able to take it all the way back to the NFC Championship game. But unfortunately for the Bears, Aaron Rodgers and B.J. Raji prevented the Bears from going to their second Super Bowl in about 5 years. And, after that 2010 season, I think the Devin Hester wide receiver experiment really stopped working for the Bears. They really just kind of didn't want him to be on the offensive side of the ball anymore. And so they kind of just put his focus to the return side of the ball. He had another 2 touchdowns returning in 2011. And in 2011, it was really evident to, I think, a lot of people that he was going to break the all-time kick return touchdown record. Now, another important note to interject here right before I talk about if he broke that record or not is I actually have a very personal Devin Hester story. Part of the reason why he will always hold such a special place in my heart. So when I was a kid, for those of you who don't know, I grew up in Illinois my whole life. When I was a kid, the Bears used to hold open training camps to fans in Bourbonnais, Illinois. And my mom would take me to these camps. I would go to, so many a year. And they actually had a bunch of sections for kids. They had mini games and everything like that. But I remember very specifically, they had this one big field. And me and a bunch of other kids at the camp, we put a game together. We started playing. And I actually got kicked the ball. I, made a couple people miss, hit them with a Heisman pose. And I actually scored, and it was super cool. And all my buddies on my team were helping me up. But the coolest thing about this story is I look over, and on the players' trail, the trail that they walked on, I saw Devin Hester. And Devin Hester looked at me, he nodded, and he gave a thumbs up. And that was just the coolest moment of my life. I mean, truly, speaking as a kid who was the world's biggest Devin Hester fan, to not only have that kick return, but to have Devin Hester acknowledge me for it, that was the coolest moment of my life. I could have died there, and I could have been a happy man. And all my buddies were like, "Is that Devin Hester?" And I was like, "Yeah," I was trying to act cool, but inside of me, I was melting away. So the coolest moment of my life, bar none. So speaking of that return touchdown record, in 2014 he would go and play for the Atlanta Falcons, and he would have another punt return touchdown. And in my opinion, I think this is the most important punt return touchdown of Devin Hester's career.
Kanan, beautiful punt as Hester retreats to the 38, and he's past everybody except the punter, and he breezes past him, and it's Devin Hester's night to high step. He's just broken Deion Sanders' record. He was tied with Deion for 19 career total return touchdowns. That's number 20.
I'm overcome with emotions right now because
I told you I was gonna do it, man.
I love you as a man, as a father, as a husband. I remember the beginning, man. I love you, dude. And I'm so proud of you, man. I'm so proud of you. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
This would be the return that gave Devin Hester the all-time kick return touchdown record, cementing himself as one of, if not the very best kick returners in NFL history. And then at the end of his career, he played some games for the Baltimore Ravens and the Seattle Seahawks. Didn't do anything too noteworthy with them, but still a very, very successful career for a returner. And I want to say something. I know Devin Hester hasn't made it to the Hall of Fame yet, and I know that Devin Hester, he was just a returner, and he wasn't anything special on the offensive or defensive side of the ball. But I would just like to make the argument that Devin Hester belongs in the Hall of Fame because he was such a pioneer for one side of the football. He revolutionized the return game to such a degree that he changed the way that I think special teams works. I think the practice of kicking away from Devin Hester has become popularized in the NFL for some of the most dangerous returners. And I'm sure that practice had happened to returners before Devin Hester. But in my opinion, in my humble, biased opinion, I think Devin Hester changed the way the return game is more than any other returner in NFL history. He got the accolades. He's got the numbers. He's got the longevity. I just love Devin Hester. He brought such an infectious energy. He was so energetic. He was so electric with the ball in his hands. That's not even to mention Jeff Joniak absolutely killing it whenever Devin Hester would score, saying, "Devin Hester, you are ridiculous." That was the coolest shit ever to hear, by the way. But yeah, I just want to make this video talking about one of my heroes, Devin Hester. I hope he's doing good in retirement. I know, he's staying an active part of the Bears. He's been going to games and everything like that. So I just want to say I love Devin Hester. I wanted to devote this video to him, talk about Throwback Thursday. And I'm sure a lot of you guys love Devin Hester as well. And even if you aren't Bears fans necessarily, you guys still love Devin Hester and still know the impact that he made on this game. So I'm going to wrap this video up. I hope you guys all enjoyed the video today talking about Devin Hester for Throwback Thursday. Like I said in the beginning, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos. And comment your best Devin Hester memory down below. If I could speak, that would be awesome. But I love you guys, and I will see you in tomorrow's video. Peace.